start with Sir John Redwood, because this is the one that made me do a double take. I should stress I have double checked, but it could be a typo that has been reproduced by reports. So it may turn out, because I find this so hard to believe, that I am more than happy to acknowledge that there could be some sort of typo here, because he gets £48,222 per quarter from the investment committee, his chairman indeed, of Charles Stanley Investment Committee. He has said, my duties are to write a twice weekly market review and investment report, to chair the investment committee, and to make oral and written presentations. And that's fine, right? So he gets just shy of 50 grand per quarter. Wait for it. For 50 hours of work a month. And this is the bit where I think there must be some sort of typo there. He was getting £15,606 a month previously, which is roughly £46,818 per quarter, and that's now gone up to £48,222. Now, when I was joking earlier with or about Nick and myself only doing 60 hours a week, it was kind of true. You know, the meter is only ticking for us for the 60 hours a week that we're on air. We do other bits and bobs on top, of course, some years, some months more than others. But the 3 hours a day that we're on the radio, that 60 hours a week is our major income. 60 hours a month is our major income. John Redwood is a member of Parliament. He has a constituency. He also gets other emoluments. Is that the correct pronunciation? I don't know. But I'm going to begin there. I'm going to ask you at some point which of these stories you think is... There's two elements to the question, actually. Which is the most egregious? Which is the most traffic stopping? Which is the one that actually makes you go, what? And the second question would be, which is the most important stroke significant? Because I don't think they're the same. This is not the one that I think is the most important or significant, but it is the one that makes me go, wow. Because it's in plain sight. This is what I found so weird about Dominic Raab's defences yesterday of transparency. I think he was wrong. I don't think it was known that Sir Geoffrey Cox was phoning in his votes from the British Virgin Islands. I don't want to jump the gun on him. He's coming up in a moment. But when Raab said it was transparent, he was referring to the register of members' interests, not the actual geographical location of MPs drawing down salaries of a piffling 80 grand while trousering £400,000 for doing legal work on behalf of a government accused of corruption. So I find the 50 hours, the fact that he could write it down, the fact that he could just throw it into the mix, this reminds me of the expenses scandal, where it wasn't so much the detail that was shocking as the presumption that it was all perfectly above board and normal. I've slightly changed my view on the expenses scandal as the years have passed, but that's by the by. What shocked us at the time was the fact that it was in plain sight. It was hiding in plain sight. So John Redwood filled in a form, and I have to keep saying, because do you know what? Do you know how mad I am? Mad as in bananas, not mad as in furious. That comes a little bit later in the hour, if yesterday is anything to go by. I don't believe it. I actually don't believe it. So I keep saying it may well turn out to be a typo, because part of me is thinking that in the next 14 minutes, a text is going to drop or a message is going to come into the studio saying, we've had a look at this and it was 5 hours a month. I mean, quite what on earth you could do for 5 hours a month to draw down 50 grand a quarter is currently beyond me. Even Nick Ferrari doesn't get paid that sort of money for 5 hours work. But I can't believe the 50 hours. Yesterday it was the amount of money that was shocking. It was Geoffrey Cox making £1 million on top of being an MP. Today it's John Redwood. They've both got knighthoods, for God's sake. Today it's John Redwood being able to put in 50 hours of work a month. 50 hours a month. I don't actually believe it. I think there must be a typo. I think at any minute now we're going to get a call and they're going to say, oh, don't worry, everyone relax. I know it's been reported in all the newspapers, so you haven't actually done anything wrong, but it's 5 hours a month. Phones aren't ringing. It's not coming in yet. Wow. So 50 hours. I find that almost unbelievable. The simple fact that he considers his duties as an MP to be so trivial that he's got 50 hours spare every month to work for this investment bank. He also works for others. He gets another 5 grand a year as a member of the advisory board of a private equity company. And a bonus of 35 grand from the original company, and he made £439.86 in book royalties. So at least there's one corner there where I can knock him into a cocked hat. 10 minutes after 10 is the time. So there you go. So we get Redwood on the list. Daniel Kawczynski. Can you spot what the word is yet that runs through this lot like Blackpool runs through a stick of rock? You'll remember him. He is the one that was accused of not offering a sincere apology in the House of Commons after he was found guilty of bullying. Again, so was Priti Patel. So, you know, it's almost like every stone you look under has got 10 more stones under it that you need to then look under. And every time you look under one of the 10 new stones, you find 10 more stones to look under, all of which are hiding murk and grimness. But she concluded that he'd acted in a threatening and intimidated manner. But on the same day that he gave the apology, he admitted he was only going through the motions to avoid being suspended. That was picked up by the Daily Mail. Now he's facing another investigation, the second in 5 months, for actions causing significant damage to the reputation of the House. That's not the only story involving him. He has also, I'm not going to be able to keep on top of this, seriously. He is also going to be in, or at least it is being reported that he has interests or he gets paid by a mining company, and there are suggestions that he may have made interventions on their behalf, suggestions that he denies. I've already got it. I've blown it already. What is it? 11 minutes after 10. I've already lost one of the strands of the story. I've already lost one of the stones that I was looking under because I got distracted by all the new stones to look under that I found when I lifted up the last stone we were looking under. Are you still with me at the back? So I'll get back to that one. So we've got Redwood. We've got Kawczynski. Here is a Tory MP who was retained as an advisor by a company, a job for which he received £20,000 a year. His name is Steve Brine. In February, he took part in a video conference with the company that pays him £20,000 a year for 8 hours work a month, and Nadeem Zahawi, the vaccine minister at the time. And that was in February. And lo and behold, in April, the company won a £100,000 government contract to deliver lateral flow tests to pharmacies. It could be, of course, a complete coincidence, but I think Angela Rayner is quite right to insist that we need an investigation to be sure. So we'll put Brine on the list, and here he is, Ian Duncan Donuts. It's almost like night following day. Ian Duncan Smith is facing questions over his £25,000 a year second job, advising a multi-million-pound hand sanitizer firm after he chaired a government task force that recommended new rules benefiting the hand sanitizer firm that pays him £25,000 a year for consultancy work. This is a reference to his chairing of the Task Force on Innovation, Growth and Regulatory Reform, which essentially came forward to recommend alcohol-free sanitizers, hand sanitizers, should be formally recognised in the UK while being paid by a company that makes them. So that's Redwood, Kawczynski, Brine, Duncan Smith. I still think Redwood, simply because of the 50 hours. That's just so unbelievable. But the Duncan Smith one, actually chairing a government task force, I think what gets me the most, and I suspect what gets you the most, is the fact that this is out there. It's weirder than if it was hidden. You know, a traditional scandal involves blowing the bloody doors off, right? To bowdlerise Michael Caine in the Italian Job. A traditional scandal involves blowing the doors off. These are things that this lot thought was fine. This is the Pattersons. This is why it all goes back to Owen Patterson saying, after being busted, that he'd do it all again tomorrow. They don't think they're doing anything wrong because they are, I think, just so entitled. So Duncan Smith chairs a government task force that delivers incredibly good news for a company that pay him 25 grand a year to consult. Scotland Yard is assessing a complaint against the Conservative Party over the fact that 15 of the last 16 Tory treasurers had been offered a seat in the House of Lords after each donated more than £3 million to the party. So we'll put the House of Lords on the list. Redwood, Kawczynski, Brine, Duncan Smith, Lords. Sir Geoffrey Cox, I told you we'd come back to him. How many times do you think he voted in person in 13 months during the pandemic? Go on, seriously, have a guess. How many times do you think he turned up in the House of Commons and actually vote? How many days? How many days? On how many days over a 13-month period do you think Sir Geoffrey Cox, who I misrepresented yesterday as being the MP for North Devon, it's, I think, Totteridge and West Devon, although geographically speaking, it is kind of in North Devon, but the point is I named the wrong constituency. How many days out of 13 months, what's that roughly? That's sort of 130, about 190 days, isn't it? 13 months, give or take, I think. No, it's got to be more than that. It's 360. Never do maths live on the radio, Keith. That is the only bit of advice I will ever give you. 13 months, so it's going to be 365 days plus 30 days, 395 days. That'll do. About 395 days. Admittedly, not all of them would be days when Parliament was open, but taking 13 months as a broad baseline, how many days do you think Geoffrey Cox actually went into Parliament and voted on out of 13 months? From June 2020 to July 2021. Now, you were allowed to use proxy voting. Let's make that absolutely clear. It's not like everybody else was queuing up to do 2. Even I haven't got the energy to build up any suspense on this one. 2 days, 13 months, £1 million. I don't know how long it would take you to earn £1 million. It took Geoffrey Cox a year while he was also an MP. I don't know how long it would take you to earn 50 grand. It takes John Redwood 3 months while he is also an MP. And he gets it for doing 50 hours work a month while he is also an MP. Do you see what I mean yet about the real offence here being the fact that it's in plain sight? The fact that they have essentially waved it under our noses and told us that there's nothing to worry about. Lawrence Robertson, £24,000 a year by the Betting and Gaming Council, an industry body that lobbies on behalf of bookmakers. Ready for this? Over the past year, he has warned ministers that there is a great danger that stronger gambling laws could lead to more players using the black market and suggested that there is not enough evidence to warrant greater regulation of the industry. He denies any conflict of interest. So, here is a gambling firm. Here is Lawrence Robertson. The firm gives him £24,000 and then he makes arguments about how it would be a very bad idea to regulate gambling more stringently than we currently do, but claims, and this is where he waves it under your nose, there is absolutely no conflict of interest. Is anyone keeping tabs on this? We've done Cox, right? We've done the Met looking into the Lords. Let's put him on the list as well. So Cox and Robertson, the House of Lords, Duncan Smith, Brian Kawczynski, Redwood. You can tell this isn't the BBC, can't you? I'd have a team of researchers knocking this together for me. I'm doing it all with a bunch of things I've just cut out of the newspapers on one single morning. One morning. We're only 17 minutes into the programme. And then you have the other list of MPs trousering sums of money that most people can only dream of for doing work that remains... Well, here's another one. Fiona Bruce, Conservative Congleton, carried on working for her own law firm, having become an MP, and I've got the figure £219,991.54. I don't know what is happening. I don't know how we've kind of just not noticed this. Guilty, as charged, me personally. I don't know how we've not noticed this. I don't know whether there's been a flurry of revelations. They've been writing down it in the last couple of weeks because they've seen what's happened to Patterson and they've thought, well, we better get it all out there. And then big Dom Raab can go around claiming that actually we should all be praised for our transparency.